Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bayou Ballers podcast. I'm Tay Visuals, your host. My partner over there, Trey.
What's up, y'all?
And we back with another episode. We getting down to the end of the NBA, and I'm kind of sad. But let's hope Minnesota take it to Game 7 to give us the most games we can get, brother. But
Most games we can get, bro.
yeah, how you feeling today, bro?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. It's been a good day. It's Wednesday, midweek, coming off
Midday.
the extended break, so already close to the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, it's pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, brother. And over our your extended weekend. There was no extended weekend for me. I worked, but over that extended weekend, the Celtics advanced to the finals for the second time in 3 years, beating the Pacers. Now this game is we know this series. We both predicted 5. I think. Did you predict 6? Well, healthy, but you said if
I said,
Tyrese was
yeah,
out, they cooked in 4. So
yeah.
you adjusted, and we already. It seemed like this series got over so fast, bro. Like it seemed like we were just talking about it,
Mhm.
and now it's over. So expected what everybody thought it would be, but any little thoughts on it?
I mean, I think if you're the Pacers, you kind of walk away from this series of being a little pissed off, seeing that you had a 90% chance to win in 3 to 4 games. So I mean, I don't know if that means they're going to make some changes in the offseason. I
Mm-hmm.
think I tweeted, I was like, this is probably the only time that I'd advocate for a coach who made it to the conference finals getting fired, because it just
Yeah.
felt like, what's going on? How do you have those types of meltdowns at this stage? And you can blame
Mm-hmm.
the injuries, but they were kind of losing some leads with Halliburton in tow as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I mean, the Celtics showed that they are the best team. This is kind of one of those teams where, at the end of the day, if you keep them around and you don't really cut the head off the snake, they'll find a way to win. And that's kind of what championship teams do. So, if anything, I'm proud of them. Especially a guy like JT, who didn't let some of that early noise in the playoffs just because he wasn't scoring the ball. I guess we forgot that he was actually still playing basketball, being able to rebound, defend, and
Mm-hmm.
make plays for his teammates. And in this series, we saw his shot kind of, reward him for that effort. And so he's kind of coming into the NBA Finals hot. Obviously, we know what Drew Holiday and Derek White bring from a perimeter standpoint in terms of their defense. So I'm excited to see how they do at the next round. And I guess the big story going in is what KP's injury status is. And
Mm-hmm.
if he does play, what's
He
going
should
to be
play.
the effect out of that, right? Like, he's missed the last 10 games. And that's an eternity in terms of playoff basketball and the type of rhythm you build. But
Mm-hmm.
either way, man, I even though it was a sweep, it was a competitive sweep. I don't know if you feel good about that if you're Indiana, but a competitive sweep. I think we enjoyed almost every game outside of game 2, and it could have really
No
went.
blowouts.
Yeah, it could have went either way. But shout out to the Celtics getting the job done. I had them being out in the first round, so they definitely proved me wrong in what they were able to.
Well, you thought Miami would be healthy though, right?
Yeah, true enough. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I would say the way they've played this postseason, injuries aside, I still think they've kind of positioned themselves and showed themselves to be the best team in the NBA. Because you could have let some of those, injuries, you could just let them, soften the way you played. And I think they kind of brought their A game every single game, despite who they were facing. So shout out to them.
Um, I kind of disagree with the A game. If that's the
Mhm.
Celtics A game, they won't be winning the finals, no matter who they play. The Mavs of Minnesota.
Mhm.
It took JT a minute to start the engine, but he averaged 30 this East Finals.
Mhm.
And a little award to Jalen Brown for winning Eastern Conference Finals MVP, the new award that's about
Yep.
2 years in. He won that over JT. They had similar stats, but I think he won because mainly game 1. He saved them in game 1,
Mhm.
basically with the 3-pointer. So I think that stuck in a lot of voters' head. It was I think 4-5 with the vote, so it was pretty close. But I don't have too much to say about the Celtics Pacers series. It wound up how we thought it would wind up. But the games were closer than most people believe. But it's the Celtics. Um, Even though they had like the biggest point differential throughout the regular season, they tend to. I don't know what this team is like. everybody has to see the Celtics win the finals to believe they can
Yeah.
do it. It's like they have the talent, they have the players, they have the roster construction, they have a, a viable coach, I should say. I don't want to say because if Brad Stevens was there, I would say a great head coach because I
Yeah.
believe Brad Stevens a great head coach, but Joe Mazzulla proven himself, and he has to get the job done in the finals no matter who they play. Because Udoka got him there and they lost to the Warriors. So it's time to get in, open the door and then close it and get the
Yeah.
job done finally after all these
Yeah.
conference finals appearances.
Yeah.
But
And I'll say this: my dad's a big Celtics fan, so happy for him.
mhm,
But I was talking to him, and I say, honestly, man, the thing that saved y'all this year, and these guys won't get the credit, but Drew Holiday and Derek White. And
mhm,
I talk about it all the time, that basketball IQ, right? And I feel like they're guys that where in the past the Celtics they'd give up big leads, or if they were down, they'd
mhm.
panic and start doing some crazy erratic things, start crying the refs and things
Oh,
like
so
that.
you blaming Marcus Smart?
I mean, look, he's a guy, but
You
when
blaming the
you're a
goo.
young guy who hasn't been there either, you don't know how to react to that. And so I think Drew Holiday, being a guy who's been deep in the playoffs, has been a champion. A guy like Derek White coming from the pop coach team, and what they learn over there in San Antonio is just the way they kind of approach the game. They try to simplify
Mhm. They had
basketball.
Malcolm Brogdon. They got the best year out of Malcolm Brogdon in a
Yeah,
good good few
but not a
years.
guy that's used to those waters, right? And when you're
Mhm,
getting guys that's kind of used to those waters, especially Drew, where he can say, "Hey, look, man, just chill out. We're gonna slow it down. Hey,
mhm.
look, I'm about to go post up a guard right quick. Get us an easy layup." So
Okay.
having guys that can just simplify the game for your two young stars to where they don't have to overcompensate, which they've probably done in years past. I think this really been beneficial for them, and it's probably going to help them over the next round. The moment won't be too big. Whereas going against the Golden State Warriors, guys that have been there, done that, even when things look dim for Golden State, you got Steph, you got Clay. Hell, even Draymond, after being benched in that series, came back with a new type of mentality to help them secure that victory. And so I think the Celtics just did a really good job of um, getting someone in Drew Holiday that has been there before and
Mhm.
a guy that has that respect in his league. So even though he's not the best player on the team, right? He when he says something, JT and JB are going to listen, and that's probably carried them further in the playoffs this year than anything. And so I think that's probably
Mhm.
something that's underrated that a lot of people won't necessarily talk about
Mhm.
with Drew Holiday and even Derek White kind of being a part of that culture now.
Okay. Mr. New extension Drew Holiday for that. Tough defensive backcourt between them two. But
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna see how they fare out, and we're gonna see if that matters next series when they facing them two guys in Texas. Who not Tyrese and Nimhard and Neesmith. We're
Yeah.
gonna see who got counter after counter after counter, and them two gonna draw the assignment. Drew Holiday gonna probably guard Kyrie. Derek Wright gonna be on Kyrie. And I don't know if they're gonna go small with Drew or Derek
They'll probably go Drew, but
on Luca.
yeah.
Luca Drew's pretty strong, but Luca's just too big for him. But Drew's a solid defender in the post and on the perimeter. So, but the Mavs have to finish the job. And speaking of the Mavs, Minnesota survived game 4. They didn't get swept like the Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
And bounce back game. Cat 9 for 13 from the field. Some big threes in the fourth quarter to keep the lead from being I get keep the Mavs from taking the lead, and also some Luke and Kyrie shot pretty bad. 7 for 21 and 6 for 18 for both of them. 6 for 18 was
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie, 7 for 21 was Luca. And a big turnover by Kyrie in the, at the end of the game with about 40 seconds left. Trying to make a left-handed pass.
Mm-hmm.
What was your thoughts on this game? Timberwolves still won. And everybody's going crazy. Oh, the Timberwolves might be the first team to come back for 3-0. Golly. Go ahead, my man. I'm gonna let you go.
Man, look, I would say it's really similar to the Boston Indiana series in that in every game, for the most part, each team has had an opportunity to win. We talk about the Timberwolves having a lead in game 1, 2-point lead. They allow a 3-pointer at the buzzer to lose. Game 2, they have an 18-point lead. They blow it. Game 3, they're going back and forth with the Mavericks. They end up losing. Game 4, they just happen in this go around to close the deal.
Mhm.
So we talking about it. I mean, in a perfect world, if you're a Minnesota Timberwolf, you just won a series 4-0 because you had every opportunity to do so, right?
Mhm.
But I think you kind of get into this point where Dallas kind of really, for their own mentality and mental health, I guess, should
Here
have
we
finished
go.
last night. Because look, I would say at the very least, we coming back to Dallas. And when you come back to Dallas, that's when the butt cheeks get tight because now you've lost 2 straight. Yeah,
Mhm.
you still have the advantage being at home, but now you have the pressure added that if you don't win this game, you got to
No,
go back to Minnesota.
no,
And
not.
look, and we saw the same thing happen in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, where Miami got off to a 3-0 start versus
Mhm.
Boston. Boston comes back, forces it to Game 7. And I mean, if JT doesn't roll the ankle first minute in the game, who knows? We could have the first team
We
come back.
talking about Miami. We talking about their best player Luca against Jimmy. His second
Yeah,
best
but
player
guess what?
Kyrie. You talking about butt cheeks getting tight? Excuse us our analogy, y'all. Y'all know we're going with this, but we have Kyrie and Luca, two of the best fourth quarter and pressure players in the game. You must be talking about the role players.
Hey,
PJ
no, but guess
Washington.
what? It was your 2 best players that folded last night. Like
Oh,
it
they
wasn't it like your role players perform like the role players that they are. They've done the
mm-hmm.
things they've done. You hopefully PJ Washington finds his shot in this series. Hasn't been able to do that yet. But for the most part, this last night's game has gone like the other 3 games before,
Mm-hmm.
where it's going to get to the fourth quarter and
And,
who's going to win that quarter. And
and
this time around, Ant stepped up, but guess what? Cat stepped up and didn't, at least until they pretty much had the game in hand,
he
pretty
stepped
much
up and
stayed out of
fouled
foul
out.
trouble. Nas Reed did well. Kyle Anderson came in and gave big minutes. You have
Mm-hmm.
Mike Conley kind of joining the party, which we kind of said he was going to have to provide something offensively, right, in the series if they were going to have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And things get a little tight. And Kyrie is the only one that's been in this deep in the playoffs before.
Luca been to the
Been in these
conference
moments.
finals.
Luke has been to the conference finals, but man, you was going against the Golden State Warriors. Like it was a wash. Like there was no, you just kind of, it was, hey, we got here, so happy to be here type of deal. Like it was no one saw them in that series thinking they were going to win with Dwight Powell being his second best player. Like that
Hey,
just wasn't
it
going
was
to
Tim
happen, bro.
Hardaway Jr., man. Put
Like
some
that
respect
just
on Tim
wasn't going to
Hardaway
happen,
Jr.
man. So it's different. It's different now.
Mm-hmm.
And do I think the Timberwolves are going to like win, force a game 7
It sound like it.
eventually? No. I think
It sound
Dallas,
like it.
I think Dallas ended in 6.
Okay.
And what's probably going to help them is having a guy like Jason Kidd being your leader saying, look, y'all, we ain't about to bullshit with this. They damn sure want to win game 5, but I don't see Minnesota losing all of their games in Minnesota. Like I just don't see that.
Okay.
But I think we're gonna be back in Dallas for game 6. But Dallas
Oh
better bring
man.
it because I think every game is going to be the same way. Like I don't think we're gonna have any blowouts. I think it's going to be kind of down to the wire. Each
Mm-hmm.
team giving their respective blows, and which stars elevate. It's been to this point Kyrie and Luca 3-1 to Cat and Ant. So what's gonna happen?
All right.
Which duo gonna step up? We gonna see.
I let you spitball all this about getting it to game 6. This is how most people feel though when the series go. They win the first Kyrie. Well, I'm not gonna even say Kyrie and Luka. The Mavs win 3 in a row. Then Minnesota wins 1. And it's nothing. No matter what the Mavs did, the only thing the Mavs could have done for people to stop this rhetoric is win the game. So no matter what the Mavs have done, like, hey, it's a 7-game series. You want to sweep that's a good team. Minnesota's a good team.
Yeah.
Kyrie and Luke had an off shooting night, and still was right there to close the door at the fourth quarter. So all I've been looking at in this series, you've been saying it been coming out in the fourth quarter. 9 times out of 10, Luka and Kyrie are going to outplay Minnesota Stars in the fourth quarter. That was their night last night.
Mm-hmm.
The next night, the Mavs going to finish them in Minnesota. And you don't see that. I'm going to tell you this. Now, this I'm going to tell you is going to go down. Cat will revert back to his shooting slump he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to have a good game, kind of like the heroic game he tried to have when he scored 44 and not too many people showed up with him. Turn his ring off. But and they're doing this while Luka is injured, clearly injured,
right.
And they're outplaying Ant and Cat. I'm just going with the Stars right now. Luka is clearly waltzing around. You know, I'm not too big of the Luka fan, but he's a great offensive player. But he's clearly hobbled out there. He can't really. He's not fast to begin with, but he can't really get into his little delayed motion that he does where he gets his defenders on his back and things like that. But he can't really accelerate too much. But I trust the two deadly offensive players in the playoffs to get the job done on the road. On the road or at home really don't matter with me, with Luka and Kyrie. They game travel. Now you might got to worry about a couple road players, and I'm not worrying about the road players because Gafford, his shots come under the rim. Lively, if he comes back, I know he has that neck injury. All his shots are alley hoops. I think he ain't miss a game yet, miss a shot yet this split in the series. So we just got to worry about the couple wing shooters, Josh Green, PJ Washington knocking down some open threes, Jaden Hardy if he gets some run, and Maxi Kleber came back. That's a big pickup for them. Switchable defender. Small ball center. That's something they're gonna need if Derek Lively is out. They don't have to play the white power. Max Cleveland can play that and stretch the flow. So I'm gonna have the Mavs coming up big in game 5 on the road. I'm looking to see some deadly dagger shots from them two superstars. And Minnesota had a good run. It's just not there yet. They just ran into some juggernauts right now. And them guys gonna keep, I expect 30-point games from them two. So you can't hold them guys to 6 for 18 and 7 for 21 back-to-back games. If they do, I come on here the next show and be like, hey, Minnesota defense, they did it again. They did it to the Nuggets 4 times. They gonna do it. They did it to the Mavs twice, but I don't see it happening. Them two on a different level. And that's how we're gonna call it. I'm calling Mavs in 5. We're gonna get to another Western Conference team and coach. Finally got the deal done. Ty Lue, one of the best coaches out there. I think I'll put him probably I know Eric Sproul's number 1 for me, but he's probably top 3. Yeah, I'm probably missing a coach that I don't want to just spit Ty Lue out there as the second coach. But 5-year deal, $70 million. This is an NBA player contract. He got the Grayson Allen contract. So talk to Ty Lue nice, man. Steve Ballmer paying the money, making him the highest NBA coach after Monty Williams, I believe. Oh no, after Mike Budenholzer. Because he just signed. It was Monty Williams, then Mike Budenholzer. Now it's Ty Lue. They like the quarterback market. Every coach who gets that, big deal. So, man, I know the Eagles in the NBA locker room is crazy because you can't tell a coach nothing. You can't tell an NBA player nothing with this money they making. I wouldn't even want coach, but what's your thoughts on Ty Lue, brother?
Well,
5 years, $70 million.
Well, congratulations to him. I mean, if anything, this was a ploy by ownership of the Clippers where they weren't going to let him go across the street or across the locker room right now because they're still in the same building right now to the Lakers. And we knew, like, if Ty Lue was available, all this JJ Redick, all that talk would go out the window. Ty Lue was about to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, who I believe LeBron wanted initially anyway.
He did. They stiffed him
before they hired someone else. So I'm really happy for him. For me, like I've always said, Ty Lue to me is like Doc Rivers 2.0.
Oh God, no.
Like, I mean, outside of, I mean, look,
no,
we give him credit. We give him credit for the coming back and beating Golden State in the Cavs and Warriors series. But I've always looked at him as the coach that got down 3-1 as opposed to the coach that came back from 3-1. And I think that next final kind of showed it. And he's done good with the Clippers. I mean, especially with Kawhi.
You said
Missing.
the next finals when they got KD,
Yeah, but
they
he
were
got
there every game,
guess what? Guess what? They still had Kyrie and Kevin Love in those finals. And guess
bro.
what?
You had KD.
They tried to run the same type of offense. They tried to run, oh, we're going to
It worked
isolate.
though.
Yeah, but it
It
worked
came down
when
just it came down just to like these Minnesota and
guess
Mavs
what?
game.
But
KD
guess
two
what?
dagger
It
threes.
works. It works when Andrew Bogut gets injured. It works when
Oh my
Draymond
god.
Green is playing handicap because if he says one more thing, which is his own fault, he's getting
Oh
out.
my god. Draymond
They
Green
had no
scored like
rim
30.
protection.
He had like a 30-point triple double in game
They had
7.
no rim protection. So then you go to next year, and all I was saying was you can't run the same thing. You just have to elevate the game. You can't say, well, it worked last year and forget that, yeah, last year you also had Harrison Barnes bricking wide open threes. Kevin Durant's on the team now. That's not going to happen. But
Hey,
either
no
way,
matter what coach you would have put out there, they would have lost.
But either way, he gets to the Clippers. He gets to the Clippers, and they do well. Honestly, I feel like if Kawhi, who I call Mr. PTO, was available and they were still losing, which they likely would anyway, he'd probably not be the coach anymore. But I think he gets a lot of saving grace because he hasn't had his best player, and the Clippers have still competed at a high level. And look,
Man, you
everybody
talking
can't be
spicy, man.
everybody can't be the top echelon. Everybody can't win the ring every year. We just talked about we about to have our 6th different champion in 6 years. So it's okay. And so I think a coach that routinely is going to win 48 to 50 plus games a year can get you to the first, second round, maybe a conference finals in a good year. You're not going to find guys like that all the time. They don't grow on trees. And why not give him the extension? I think if the Clippers were realistic, or I think the Clippers are being realistic of where they are, they tell us that they think they're a championship team. But I think in all honesty, they know that, hey, we'll probably get to the conference finals. We'll probably always be little brother to the Lakers in LA, and that's okay. We'll tell everybody else we think differently, but you'll never be the Lakers. You won't match that championship pedigree, and it's okay. You have a competitive team, which you haven't had for a long time, especially since the Doc Rivers, Chris Paul, Lob City era. You have that now. Embrace it. You're about to go to the new arena. You're about to sell those tickets. It's all good. But
Englewood.
but I
Okay.
think but I think in the moments where you might see a Kawhi shut his career down, you might see a PG leave this offseason, you might not see Tyronn Lue finish that 5-year contract. We already talked about the NBA coach being the worst job in professional sports. So the extension means nothing. But I think if anything, I'm happy for him. I think it's good that when someone's at least consistent, they get rewarded for that. And look, everybody can't win. Everybody's not able to win championships consecutively. It's okay. He wins enough. He has you competitive. He's putting butts in seats. That's good enough for an extension. And more importantly,
Tyronn
right?
Lue.
Yeah, and more importantly, right, you kept him from the Lakers. And that's really the
Oh
big thing.
man.
That's all Bone was all this talk I'm talking about winning and all that type of stuff. He don't care about that. All he's thinking about is Jeannie Buss and her people didn't get him. And they're
He,
perfectly fine with that.
I know the Lakers definitely wasn't giving him 70 million. So
Yeah.
but first, man, it's like the disagreement show, but because ain't no way you just got Tyronn Lue Doc Rivers 2.0.
Yes.
You said 2.0 as in an upgrade or the same as
The
Doc
same.
Rivers?
Before you rebut it, tell me, outside of the one championship,
I'm not about to mention the
just like
championship.
Doc, just
I'm
like
not about
Doc
to
has
mention
his,
this championship.
just like Doc
I
has his
won't
one
mention the
championship, right?
championship.
Just like Doc has his one championship, but then other than that, it's a few conference finals appearances here. It's a few
Hold up.
second rounders here.
Okay, listen. I won't mention the championship.
Okay.
What series has Tyronn Lue been a betting favorite that he lost?
When has he been a betting favorite that he'll lose?
That he lost a series that you can remember, that a series he was supposed to win, but they lost, that you remember after the Cavs.
Yeah, there's not many because even in the Cavs series, they
Okay.
weren't betting favorites to win.
Okay. What about Doc Rivers? What betting favorites he's been to advance? and they lost. How many series could you count? Can you remember one? Well, they had a series and you're like, oh, they should have won that, but they lost. As Doc Rivers as the coach.
Yeah, being 3-1 against the Rockets. And they weren't
Okay.
even the betting favorites to win it until they got up 3-1.
Okay. What about up 3-2 last year against the Celtics and they choked out game 6, I mean, in Philly. They were supposed to win that?
They weren't supposed to win that series.
So you don't think so?
No, the Celtics were a better team.
What? If you up 3-2, you
Philly.
up 3-2 a tie game in your house in game 6. You cannot tell me another team is a better team.
Deal, but
Harden and Embiid versus the Celtics of last year.
Are we talking about games? Or are we talking about series? Because in the series, 76ers didn't go into that series as the betting favorite.
That's a toss-up, though.
Celtics.
That's ain't nobody went in there like, oh, the Celtics is clearly beating the 76ers. Nobody was saying that.
Harden, playoff choker. Embiid, playoff choker.
Who?
Doc Rivers, playoff choker as a head coach, and you thought people outside of Philly were giving him a chance.
Doc Rivers, playoff choker. You cannot put that title on Tyronn Lue. We can go to this one. Hey, the Sixers lost to the Hawks when the Hawks went to the conference final. That's another one.
Yeah.
We talk about that. We talk about the Clippers blowing that 3-1 lead that you mentioned. So I'm here to tell you, Tyronn Lue, he wins underdog series. They got to the conference finals with a hurt Kawhi. Against the Suns, they beat Utah. I think, when the Suns went to the finals, he had Terrence Mann out there scoring 30. He gets the best out of his players in the situation he has to deal with. I don't think you taking that into account. He's dealing with a star. You just called him Mr. PTO. You don't know when he's coming to play, and you gotta adjust your team every game. You don't know when he coming. They had reports Tyronn Lue didn't know if Kawhi gonna play any game. He might wake up in the morning and be like, "Hey, I'm not playing." And as a coach, $70 million. That's why Obama threw that check out. And you mentioned that Lakers. That's another reason. But I need to pay to deal with this type of headache. My superstar player who's supposed to lead the franchise, supposed to get us to the conference finals, like you said, in the finals. We don't know when he's gonna play. So now we gotta go out here and go get Harden. I gotta deal with Harden, the MVP. I gotta deal with Russell Westbrook, bringing him off the bench now. Knowing anytime he's a loose cannon, he might go crazy. Oh, I'm not happy. I just seen remember the report where he said Russell asked to be on the bench when Harden came to the team, got traded.
Yeah, it was a lie.
And everybody was like, "Oh my God, Russell's so good." And now the reports come when it's over. Russell was happy with unhappy with coming off the bench. Like, what is going on in the Clippers organization? That's why you need Tyronn Lue for some stability. And Steve Ballmer, he did the right thing. They got a new stadium. He gonna try to resign everybody. But I don't know why Paul George's deal ain't done yet. It's looking closer and closer that he might entertain other teams. So,
well, to answer that question is because they refused to offer him more than Kawhi.
And that's right. I think teams should do that more often.
But I
can see why Paul George.
I've been the guy. He hasn't played. Exactly. The furthest you've been as a team, I was the one leading the charge to get us there. But but to your point, I get it from the team's perspective because Kawhi is the one people are coming to see. He's the hometown kid. He's the one that's selling the seats, right? Whether he plays or not. But from the player perspective, if I've been the guy the whole time, I mean, Kawhi at this point is the guy name. But in terms of production and longevity and pretty much outside of this season, Paul George has stayed relatively healthy. He's competed well in the playoffs when he's had to step up and be the guy. When Paul George, when Kawhi just kind of gets a magic injury like against the Suns, like they were playing, and
the next game he wasn't up.
Like he walking into the after the end of the game, the handshake line, and he looked good. Like I think he dropped 40 that game, and then they said, "Hey, Kawhi Leonard on his ACL. Where? Show me." I was like, "Can you show me the play?" Like I ain't see it. You're like,
he's out indefinitely.
But you played a whole quarter and a half with a torn ACL. Well, shit, I think that means he can play.
He a cautious man, bro.
So, like from PG's camp standpoint, like I get where they're coming from. They've stayed healthier. They've been a part of some of these long runs that maybe Kawhi's body hasn't allowed him to be a part of. So why not? I mean, it's like you can maybe rationalize with me why Kawhi should get paid more, but if you just be like, look, starting off, you're not getting paid more than Kawhi, well, that's a little bit disrespectful, man.
Yeah, but look at this. Kawhi didn't take the full max.
True.
So what was his extension? 3 years, 60 or 150 or something around that range.
It was
I
like
don't know.
160 something. So yeah, he didn't take.
I think it was 162. He didn't take the full max.
Right.
It's been reported that we don't know if it's true or not, but it's been reported that the Clippers have offered him multiple contracts that Paul George declined because it's reported he wants a max.
Mm-hmm.
If Kawhi didn't take the full max, we know Harden coming up. Russell is a free agent.
Yeah.
They moved in a new building, just signed Tyronn Lue. Paul George basically gonna be before. If anything gets done, Paul George probably should get done before Harden because we know Harden, he's not a max player no more anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably gonna get less than a max. He should be between 20 and 30 because they have the ability to go over the salary cap for him because that's their own player. But Paul George, I feel he's gonna get offered a max from Philly. So if he wants to leave and get the max, he will be able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to him if he wants to stay in that league where he said he was a Lakers fan growing up. Everybody loves being in LA. It's gonna be up to him if he wants to stay in LA or go to Philly and get more pressure. Because right now he's in a spot. Second fiddle, no pressure. You've been with the Clippers so long, nobody, you're not that hot new topic no more that everybody looks at it and be like, oh, the Clippers versus LA. They might go to the finals. People expect what they expect from the Clippers, like you said. Conference finals here, they're on a good year. Second round at most in injuries.
Right.
You go to Philly, you got Maxey, you got Embiid. He gets to the end. People gonna look at you now that all right, he's here to take us to that next level. We ain't never been out the second round with Embiid. He's here to take us to that next level. I don't know if you want that type of pressure, but
he want that type of
right? Yeah, that's the thing right there. And I think a lot of players' self-awareness is a big thing in the NBA. Yeah. Everybody's not a max player, especially when you're getting up there in age. And I think it's a part of the CBA and the teams who just give out these willy-nilly max contracts like it ain't nothing after a couple seasons. Like we said on Twitter, we're gonna be seeing role players getting big money. Like that. When it comes around for contract time, everybody's getting max contracts, and I'm looking like, hey, I ain't hating on nobody money, but I watched the NBA. Like these guys, they're not max players. Like we need to separate. They need to separate like max players and just full contracts or something like that. Because when I hear max, I'm thinking of like the difference makers. Like a lot of people getting max and they are not max level players no more, and they getting it off name. So in these long contracts, these teams end up stuck with these bad contracts. Like Russell Westbrook was traded on that 5-year, $200 million. He'd have been traded 4 times since that deal. Houston, Washington, Lakers, Clippers, Utah. He's been traded like 4 or 5 times. So teams need to be more aware of how they're giving out these contracts because NBA players don't stay on teams anymore for no longer than 3 years. Like you rarely see it nowadays. So any last words on that, bro?
Nah, just Ty Lue make that money. It's all good. Whether you deserve it or not, and I think you do. Go cash that check, big dog.
Do coaches get like signing bonuses like when they sign? No. I know if they get fired, they still got like buyouts.
They probably do. It's just I don't think it gets reported.
It's not reported. Okay. All right, man. We're gonna get a little bit to some NFL topics. We've been heavy on the NBA, y'all. We're gonna be crying if the Mavs beat Minnesota because we're gonna have to wait all the way to June 6th, is it?
June 6th, yep.
June 6th, my mama's birthday. Right. Houston, Texas, man. CJ Stroud locked up his guy Nico Collins, 3 years, $72 million extension. The deal is worth up to $75 million. So Nico Collins strikes, man. He got his quarterback, and look what CJ do. Get his wide receiver paid, man. I love to see it. And this ain't no crazy contract where I can look at it and be like, oh, this ain't the NFL don't do NBA contracts.
No.
You see great players in the NFL with like a 4 year, 50 million. You be like, damn, he underpaid. So
Yeah,
what you think of Nico Collins, brother, getting locked up?
man. The I would say this, man. Shout out to his agent and shout out to Nico for being, I don't want to say humble, but just kind of being a little bit more knowledgeable about what he can get in the
Mm-hmm.
future. I think
I love that.
sometimes when players come off a good season, they want to cash in right away. They want
Mm-hmm.
as much money as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that new TV deal comes out and they got all that money, and it's like, well, shoot, I just signed my deal, so now you can't get extended and anything like that.
Yep.
I think the 3 years really stands out to me
I love it.
because
Devontae
he can
Smith
re
type.
up. He can re up really quickly. Like it says, three, he can probably re up in two. So
Mm-hmm.
if him and that and CJ Stroud still got that connection and is going strong, now he can go get even more money with some of
True.
that new revenue comes into the league. So I think it's smart on his and his agent's part to do a deal like this. And again, I just like when guys get rewarded.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a hell of a season. A guy that probably wasn't getting a lot of notoriety when he first came to the league, dealt with some injuries early on, and so the fact that he worked his behind off to get to
Oh
this
yeah.
point, you always want to see that rewarded. And Houston's building something. They're
Yep.
not
Yep.
the
Tank
Houston
Dell.
Texans are old, right? And you can kind of take care of some of these guys early while you still have CJ on their rookie contract,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of everything plays out to where you can really start to, incentivize other guys to play their behinds off. We're gonna get you a pretty good deal because we don't have to pay the best player on our team, and you're gonna see some things like this on the defensive end too,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have to pay Will Anderson for a long time.
Yep.
So you're gonna see some guys on the defensive side of the ball. If they play really well, there's gonna be some money available to pay them. So I like it for it's a good move by one of the fastest rising teams. And to be quite honest, in my opinion, I don't know your thoughts on the Texans, but I don't think they've really been a poorly run organization outside of those 2 years where they didn't have a general manager and they let Bill O'Brien just kind of run everything to the ground. They have done pretty well in terms of
You talking about?
drafting, signing players, and things like that.
Yeah, they always. But I always thought they was a respectable franchise when they had Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson. Like, I never looked at them and be like, "Oh, they horribly run." I think after the
Right.
Deshaun Watson debacle, that's when everything really
Mm-hmm.
like came. That's when a lot of criticism came to the organization.
Mm-hmm.
With, hey, they run bad because it been a couple dark years before CJ after
Yeah.
Deshaun left. So that's what I think that came in. But they always was a respectable team, especially with
Mm-hmm.
Andre Johnson. You know, him and the Cortland Finnegan brawl is legendary. One of the first big fights I ever seen on the
Yeah.
NFL. Like, hey, they really going at it out there. Good times in the NFL, but good deal for Nico Collins. I love the 3 year deal, like you said. I think these 3 year deals are going to be more common. I think they should be more common on the player side
Mm-hmm.
and on the team side because these 5 year deals, it's kind of just like the NBA. Sometimes they bad, like Michael Thomas with the 5 year, 100 million. If it was a 3 year deal, on Michael Thomas' side, it was good because hey, you locked up for 5 years. You get injured, boom. If you're an injury risk player, lock it
Mm-hmm.
up for 5 years. But you're a young player like Nico Collins, 3 years, come back in two, re-up again with some bigger money, kind of like Devontae Smith type deal, the 3 years, 70, I think something million.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that for the young receivers. Get out there early, get some money, cash in, get that signing bonus, and come back in a couple years if you having a great years in between and re-up again. But the longer deals, I'm not too big of a fan of from team perspective because you kind of put in locked in a spot where you you pay a guy too early or something like that, and then injuries come upon they're not performing too well, and you kind of stuck in that contract. But the
Mm-hmm.
NFL, luckily, all the contracts aren't guaranteed from the team perspective. I say luckily because NFL players will be, hey, luckily, what you mean? We need a guarantee. Hey, I'm not saying y'all don't need a guarantee. I'm just saying from the team perspective, luckily for them, they're not guaranteed all the way. They could get out of
Yeah.
most deals. So we got another wide receiver, man. A guy you like, Jawan Jennings from the Super Bowl runner-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Again. Well, not again. Super Bowl runner. Well, yes, again. I'm tripping. Jawan Jennings up to 15.4 million, but 10.5 guaranteed on a 2-year deal. He was a restricted free agent. He didn't sign his 1-year tender.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't attending OTAs as well. But they got the deal done. Kind of San Francisco kind of a tough spot because they still haven't got Brandon Ayuk deal done. And
Mm-hmm.
that's probably going to be more on the side we just come talking about 4-year, 5-year deal. I don't know if Ayuk wants a 3-year deal. He's been in the league a few years now, but and with the Debo Samuel side of things, one report was saying first they wanted to trade Ayuk, then they wanted to switch it to Debo. So
Yeah.
John Lynch got some things to figure out at the wide receiver position, but he did lock in Jawan Jennings. Thoughts on this deal? Very team friendly deal.
Well, Juwan, one of my favorite players, man. I thought he was going to be a future Saint. I thought, Clint was
Mm-hmm.
going to really bargain hard, but I knew with him being a restricted free agent, if we wanted him, we were going to have to overpay. And I
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't really interested in paying the Saints tax, knowing some of the young receivers we have.
Yep.
But Jawan Jennings is what I call a gamer. Like, he's probably not going to be your wide receiver one, not even your wide receiver two. But at
Definitely
the
three.
moment you need somebody to make a play, he always seems to be one of those guys. And so I love football players like that just do the little things and show up when you need them the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say just looking at the guaranteed money alone, that kind of gives you a kind of view into how they're looking at that wide receiver position now, and whether they're going to be going forward with Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel, because they also drafted a wide receiver in the first round. So that matters as well.
Yes.
And I think personally, you know how I feel about Debo Samuel. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
more of a glorified running back. And if you have a guy like Christian McCaffrey, what's the purpose of having a Debo Samuel? I
Hey,
think for
you can't never have too many Swiss armies.
Yeah, but I think for the style of offense that Brock Purdy runs, I think they're going to need some more technically sound wide receivers. And
Mm-hmm.
Debo Samuel's draft or his trade value is probably not going to be as high as it is right now. The
Mm-hmm.
more you kind of get, let's say you bring Brandon Ayuk back. I'm trying to think. Let's say Ricky Parasol, who they drafted in the first round. They say
Mm-hmm.
he steps up, and so now it's a matter of, well, we know you paid one guy, you drafted one guy, Jawan Jennings, you paid a big chunk of money to right away. We know you got to get rid of Debo Samuel now. The compensation probably
Give me a
won't be
fifth round pick, huh?
yeah. So it might go to like a fourth or fifth rounder, especially when you're thinking about the contract that he
Mm-hmm.
has. Whereas maybe you can get maybe a second or third for him right now. And so they
Uh,
should really look into it. But just going back to Jawan, I think again, players getting rewarded for putting in the work. And he's one of those
mm-hmm.
players that does the little things that will never come up in the box score, and how he helps set, their edge in their run game. He's kind of like a more talented Traquan Smith. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of good that he's kind of getting that money in that big chunk of money right away. It's only
Mm-hmm.
2 years. So probably after this year, maybe they move Debo. Now we're talking a year from now. They're saying, hey, here's some more money. And here's a bigger opportunity for you as well. So it's going to be interested. I'm more interested in how the wide receiver position shakes out,
Mm-hmm.
because again, you have things vested in four guys. You have money vested in Ayuk, at least right now, Jawan Jennings and Debo, and you have a first round draft pick, which isn't cheap, in Ricky Parasol. So somebody's going to end up being gone. I just wonder who it might be, and we know it's going to either be Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel. So
Who do you think is gone by the end of the season? Ayuk or Debo? Who do you think they trade? Or do you think both start the season on the 49ers?
I don't think both start the season on the 49ers. I think the Ayuk deal gets done by training camp, and I
Mm-hmm.
think probably sometime shortly after, I think we're hearing about a Debo Samuel trade. It wouldn't surprise me if we're hearing about it in the same day
Mm-hmm.
that Debo's been traded and
To New
Brandon
Orleans.
be up.
Trade to New Orleans.
Well, I
Your
mean,
worst nightmare.
we got a sun deprived Debo Samuel on our team already. So do we really need another one?
Heard. Now we're gonna get to some Saints news. I'm gonna introduce Taysom Hill. Reports is he's doing things he's never done in the Saints' new offense. Then you like our transition to
Segue.
him. Huh?
What a segue, ain't it?
Yeah, perfect. Look how we coming on. Bayou Ballers, man. We're gonna transition to Taysom Hill. Reports say he's been playing tight end, which is he already been doing, but he's also been lining up as a shotgun running back. What is your expectations on this Clint Kubiak new offense for Taysom Hill?
I mean, I think Taysom's going to be Taysom. I don't think we're about to see his numbers like go up a whole nother notch.
Mhm.
Especially being, I think he's going to be 34 by the time the season begins.
Damn.
And for me, and granted, he's only been at least 7 years. He did the Mormon mission and everything going into BYU. So he's a lot younger than his age, I guess, if that
He got the
makes sense.
miles on him.
Right. But I personally, for me, Taysom being healthy towards the end of the year matters a lot more than us doing the dog and pony show early on. Like when it gets tough and we just got to win some games and we need some people to put the game away. I want Taysom to be available for that. I think even in Drew's latter years, maybe one of the reasons why we didn't go as far is because Taysom had been hurt and we weren't able to utilize him in moments in some of those
Don't get me
games.
started
So
on Drew latter years. Don't get me
yeah,
started on Drew latter years.
but I think if you had a guy like Taysom who you can just hand the ball off to or do some of the wildcat quarterback stuff, alleviate some of that pressure off for Drew, which they try to do when Jameis was the quarterback, when Andy was the quarterback, and now with Derek Carr being the quarterback. I think they're going to want to do some of those similar things. Probably not so much that wildcat kind of quarterback thing. I don't think we're going to see him throw many passes unless it's kind of like a trick play. But it's good to hear that he's enjoying his new role. I think that's more important than anything. But I'm more interested to see what Taysom looks like late in the season and if we're doing enough things to where he's healthy. So if by the grace of God we are in a playoff run, right, I think he's one of our better players and you want to have him. Whereas I don't want him having too much mileage put on him early on in the season. I think you got enough talented players to be able to spread the wealth a little bit. But it'd be interesting to see him at fullback. Like I don't know if
He's
he's gonna
been
be
playing
like Kyle.
running some fullbacks, lead fullback.
Yeah, like I don't know if he's gonna be like Kyle Juchik. I think it's how you
Use check,
say his name.
use
Juchik.
check.
Juchik. Okay. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be that like that, but it'll be interesting
Yeah,
though.
he definitely won't be like that. Use
What you
checks.
thinking though? What you thinking about? Like just kind of his role, maybe some of the things that you're hoping to see him or
Um,
how he'll be utilized.
from Taysom role, I want to see him more on situational down. We talked about it a lot last year, at least on Twitter. The Saints getting away from Taysom when it's clearly working,
Mm-hmm.
especially when he's pounding. I don't want to see him too much like keep handing it off to him because that takes away from the guy I want to see a lot,
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick Miller, who was really hurt last year, but
Fair
came
point.
pretty strong in the last couple games when he was clearly a bit healthy, but that knee bothered him all last year. I want to see more of him because over the past few years, I've been a big advocate of let's give they haven't been using Kamara right, Pete Carmichael, running him inside the tackles too much, and that weighs on him, and that's been slowing him down with the little knick-knack injuries he's been having. So if we can use Taysom situational but when it's needed, like in December, like you said, late when we got them cold weather games, you can hand it to him a little less finesse. Let's just go 5-on-5, our lineman on y'all, and we gonna punch the ball down y'all throat. I like that, but I would like to see more read option. That's something I
Okay.
love to see. On a third down, third and shorts. If we're gonna just hand the ball off, Derek Carr to Kamara, put Taysom Hill in the game, please.
Yeah.
Like if we're gonna do, I know he's not used to being under center, and he fumbled one time on the center, I believe, the first
Mm-hmm.
time he got it this season. I know he's not used to that, but please, I'm so sick of the third and shorts, giving it to Kamara right up the middle, and we
Yeah.
getting stuffed. I hate it. If we're gonna do that, put Taysom in the game. Let's get some creativity, read option, and
Mm-hmm.
let him play off that defensive lineman on the edge. If you want, give it to Kamara, whoever's that running back.
Now, maybe we can do our version of the tush push. So
Something
you know,
like that.
something
Something.
like
I'm hoping Clint got that brain that everybody say he has, and I'm really expecting him I'm not saying I'm expecting a lot, but I'm expecting
Yeah,
something new from Clint.
yeah. And you
And
know
that's
what?
not saying much with Pete Carmichael.
I would like to see Taysom more as a receiver. I feel like we list him as a tight end, but we hardly ever use him as a pass catcher, or probably not as much. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we kind of talked about maybe trying to keep him a little bit more clean and healthy
Mm-hmm.
as we get later in the season. Maybe utilizing him more on the perimeter can help. It's a lot easier to go up against cornerbacks and safeties than it is defensive linemen and linebackers as
You
much.
have faith. You have faith in his catching ability like
I
that.
have faith in his catching ability. He's not the cleanest route runner, which
Mm-hmm.
look, I get it.
Which is
He's been a
acceptable,
quarterback
which
his
is
whole life.
understandable,
I
right?
get it. But it's, if we can do some more dig routes or some shallow crosses and just getting the ball in his hands with
Mm-hmm.
him on a run and a full head of steam, I like that. So I'm not asking him to run post corners and all that type of stuff, but
Even though
just
he ran
maybe
them,
he'll run them. But it's just
it don't
about
look pretty,
getting him the
but
ball.
it's all
Like,
right,
throw a screen to him.
right?
Just getting the ball on the perimeter and maybe not having him always kind of in that middle in that gump
Mm-hmm.
uh, would be good for him as well, kind of keeping him a little bit
Pressure.
clean
I,
throughout the
I
season.
think I think the versatility of our offense. I want to see. I don't want to see us force feed Taysom. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see us get the ball to our weapons. I want to see
Yes.
Shaheed with the ball. Olave. Taysom is a weapon. I want to see Shaheed, Olave, Kendra Miller, more Jawan Johnson, please, because when he gets the ball, he just scores. I don't know what
He
happened,
does.
but
It's
it's
true.
like he scores, but he'll disappear 2 games. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on? Get the ball to him. He's a wide receiver turned tight end. He has the advantage a lot on these linebackers. He has the height, he has some speed, transitioning from that wide receiver to tight end. Like I said, more Taysom situational. Don't wear him out. Give him the ball. Let him get our hype, please. Get them 12-yard bursts and let him hype the crowd up when he get in the game. Give it to him on the goal line. Please give it to him in the goal line situations.
He,
Please, please, Kubiak. Please, please, please. We got Jimmy Graham last year. Didn't play the man at all when we got in the goal line, which we struggled in the goal line. You put him in. I forgot one of the games you put him in. He scored on the goal line after you ain't put him in for about 5 games. I was screaming, Dennis Allen, what are you doing? Please play the man. And now they forced Jimmy into retirement. Goddamn. But we got a little breaking news
might
though.
wait. He might be coming back though. He might be coming
Hopefully,
back. He been
I bet
liking
you if
tweets
Drew was
about
the
coming back.
quarterback, he would have been back already. It would never took this long.
Yeah, he
But you
been
got to see
liking
how the
tweets.
team look. What
He
you
been
said?
liking tweets. He been liking tweets about coming back. So we'll see.
Okay. Uh, Foster Monroe, Taysom Hill, Jawan Johnson. Um,
Hoker,
did we
maybe.
draft a
We
tight
we
end?
didn't draft a tight end. We got I think it's Hoker from Colorado State, and we got a guy's last
Oh
name is
yeah, I
Gibson.
like him. I
So
like him.
we'll see, man. It's you never know until the pads come on and they're playing real games. But
Right.
they have guys they can add in that tight end room too.
True. Is Lucas Cross still on our practice squad?
He is not. He is a Denver Bronco. Yes.
Just gifting Sean Payton our players. Huh? I wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised to see him score on us when we play him.
Oh, him and Adam Troutman gonna be on the field at the same time. Like
Yes, Evan Troutman was a bad pick, bro. Like disappointing pick for us. But nevertheless, like a little breaking news, just something little. Kenny Atkinson and Cleveland Cavaliers has been granted access to interview Kenny Atkinson and James Borrego. Kenny Atkinson, Golden State assistant, James Borrego, Pelicans assistant. So they starting the process. Look like it's gonna be between one of those two, and they'll be getting the job soon. Before they got to get that done quick because the NBA moves fast, and the draft will be coming up right after the final. So you want to have your head coach in to give a little insight on your
oh, yeah.
draft picks because how the offense will be running. One more Saints topic. Oh, not one more because you wanted to touch on Demario Davis calling out the vets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what
man.
did he actually say? Because I didn't catch this story.
So he was asked the question about OTA participation, and he
Oh,
said
okay. Oh,
something
yeah, I
along
did
the
see this.
lines of, yeah, he's like, I imagine if you look at Kansas City, they have 100% participation, and we know the main guys that aren't there right now. Rams not participating because obviously he's trying to figure out if he's playing or not, that type of deal. So I don't think he was talking about him. So that means you're talking about Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore who aren't there,
Mm-hmm.
and Look, I see it both ways. I think it could be something that, hey, it lights a fire under the team. Maybe you're saying, hey, look, I know what the culture was. We were always kind of like maybe the
Tight
past
knit group.
decade or so. Hey, vets, you earned the right. You don't have to be here. We'll see y'all in June type of deal. But we were also winning then. And maybe a guy like DeMario saying, hey, yeah, that used to be the culture when we were winning all the time, but we're not winning anymore. And maybe we got to change something, right? But I also kind of felt like, I don't want to say hypocritical, but I felt like, hey, you're a guy that's inherited this culture. You got to keep in mind that they were guys who were young coming in. They saw that, hey, our vets got to rest and we were fine. And so maybe they're feeling like it's not an issue of who's at OTAs. Maybe it's the people that are at OTAs and aren't getting it done. And then when we get to the games, they looking like deers in headlights, right? And so I was kind of like, man, look, I get it from a leader's perspective, but calling out your two best players, I don't think that's the way to go. And more importantly, when they're part of a position unit that's probably two of the better ones on the team, clearly they don't need to be there for their young guys to get it, because our defensive back room, they've been phenomenal the past couple of years. That's why I'm high on Kool-Aid McKinstry coming into that room. The running back room has been pretty decent. We really high on Kendra Miller coming in, dealt with some injuries, but when he was available, he made some really good plays, right? And so
Definitely explosive.
we have a lot of high hopes for him. And so they're not only two leaders on the team, but I think they lead their position group really well. And so to make that type of call out, I get it. But also, you were wrong about Kansas City. Two of their three best players didn't even participate, that being Chris Jones and Travis Kelce.
But
So
this year,
yeah.
well, they shouldn't. They
And
don't
they
need to. Travis Kelce don't
right,
need to.
right.
And
They
with
shouldn't.
and Chris Jones, he had his contract dispute last year. He just got
Right,
his big money this year.
right.
Those guys deserve to take a break. They won the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Marshall
Right.
Lattimore, Alvin Kamara, they need to be there.
Yeah.
I'm with Demario Davis. Y'all need to be locked in. Like, we've been 3 years since Sean Payton left. We've been in purgatory. You won't blame.
Mhm,
If we can blame it on quarterbacks, we can blame it on Dennis Allen, but Marshawn Lattimore, he been hurt. I'm one of the biggest Marshawn Lattimore fans, so it
mhm,
ain't no shot to him, but it's just the facts. He been hurt. Now, it ain't his fault he been hurt. It's football. You get hurt, but that's the facts. You've been out.
mhm,
You've been out. Alvin Kamara been underperforming. Now you can blame it on Pete Carmichael, which we do. He gets a blame on the offense. I just say
mhm,
how he hasn't been utilizing Kamara right in his strengths rights, getting them more in the open space,
mhm,
receiver roles more. He's been running them inside the tackles, and that's not his game. But those two have been underperforming the last few years, and that's just the facts. If you want to look at, if you've been a supporter of the Saints for a minute since they've been drafted, you would know their best years hasn't been the last couple years.
mhm,
Now, when Lattimore plays, he's great. When
mhm,
Kamara plays, he's not that great. He's not as great as he used to be, and maybe that's unfair to judge him off that because running backs go downhill faster than
mhm,
any other position. But he hasn't been as effective at all to me,
mhm.
and I kind of find it like ironic because I think if the Saints have a down season, I think these guys are
That's gonna
the
get
first
traded.
two who's gonna get
Yeah.
traded. Like I mentioned it like last year, like these guys are gonna be going. I think DeMario is gonna be there. I think he's gonna be a lifer for ever since he's been here. He's just like a culture guy for the Saints now.
Mhm,
I think he'll be one of them vets who's on a losing team, but still like, hey, I'm rocking with them. I don't want to go nowhere else. I'm tired of moving. Maybe he might try to ring chase for 1 year, but then come back as a Saint, get his number retired, something like that. But DeMario has meant a lot to the Saints since he came, man.
mhm,
He's been that leader on the other side of the football. But yeah, if the Saints have a bad season, you're gonna hit a Marshawn Lattimore. He's gonna be the first one because there's been a
mhm.
lot of chatter with him, man. They just drafted Kool-Aid, so they have his replacement in the lineup. And Kendra Miller, I can be Kamara replacement.
Yeah.
So they
And
got him
what,
lined up.
man? The thing is, and like I said, I get DeMario's perspective as well. But I feel like if the season doesn't go the way we want it to go, or it goes bad, I don't think anybody's going to point to who and who wasn't at OTAs. It's going to
Right.
be what's happening in the practices leading up to games, what's happening
Yep.
on game day, adjustments, and all that type of stuff. And that's just kind of what it's going to be. But I think call outs, they work sometimes.
Mhm.
I don't recall that working on these two players in the
It's not gonna
past.
work with them. Not with them.
And
It won't work. It's too
and
big of egos, two superstar players, and
right.
it won't work on them.
And I feel like
It
this offseason has to be about like the day before you talking about Derek Carr being our quarterback, and that's fine because we're trying to create that culture of cohesion. Let's keep it that way. Let's not do the sneak disses. Like let's just keep it. And I get it. You answered the question, but I mean, you know how it's going to be portrayed because when you talk
Mhm,
about not having 100%, look, we had 92%.
mhm.
That's fine. Like it's okay. And
All
especially
right.
when we're wrong about what's happening in Kansas City. That's why we gotta sweep around our own front door. Because you mentioned them, and guess what? They not even at 100% participation. And it's all
Right.
right. So but yeah, but I just wanted to touch on that because I just wanted to get your thoughts on just kind of what you think about the call out. Like if you had liked it, you kind of mentioned like, hey, like I like DeMario doing it, especially those two guys, because
Yeah, man.
your point the past couple years, we've been looking at y'all like
Hey, he
one
ain't
being
there.
hurt, one haven't really been as consistent in his
Difference
numbers.
maker. He hasn't been a difference maker.
Right.
We got to call it
So,
how it is. Hey, I want all you guys to come on the podcast and talk about it, but I gotta be real. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I ain't gonna be like the reporters. I ain't gonna be. I'm not a reporter. I ain't gonna be the reporter who's scared to ask you a question. I gotta ask you what's been going wrong because you ain't been a difference maker.
yeah.
And hey, I understand it's not just the running back fault. You got to be put in great positions to make plays, to get yards, to get your normal stats. I understand it was easier with Sean Payton and with Drew Brees, two offensive guys. Now you got a defensive head coach. He thinks more conservative. He's not aggressive like that. But we got Clint Kubiak now. This is a make or break year for those guys, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Saints have a bad season, Dennis Allen might be out. And our guys we known to love the Saints for the past years might be gone.
Yeah.
So
That's a true rebuild. I mean, everybody been saying we want to rebuild, and I'm like,
right,
are you sure?
and
Because
yes,
I think the assumption, because I think the assumption is some people think, oh, we're gonna get like a top 3 pick, we're gonna draft a quarterback, and they're gonna be
mm-hmm.
throwing to Alvin Kamara, and we're gonna like, no, Alvin gonna be like, I'm
Right,
out, like, and
yeah,
like we gotta truly rebuild, and I mean that's fine. I
mm-hmm.
mean, a lot of teams have to go through it. Maybe it's our season to go through it, but I think some people who are pro rebuild probably don't know it everything that goes into it. Like you said, some of the guys we know and love, they not gonna be here for a
Right,
rebuild, and maybe
right,
that's the cost. That's the price you pay sometimes. So it is what it is.
exactly. And you got to be fine with that, y'all. We got young good players at
Yeah.
position, so we got players to replace. And I think it's kind of gonna be like a Christian McCaffrey type trade.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Kamara is a little too deep to get that type of
Yeah, I agree.
return back, but I think he'll get something a little bit less than that.
Mm-hmm.
Because McCaffrey had injuries, things like that. But I think we'll get a nice haul for Kamara because if a contender like San Francisco traded for McCaffrey, I can see a contender trading for Kamara and him being a difference maker. Somebody like the Cowboys. If they
Mm-hmm.
trade, they need a running back, trade for Kamara, give up a couple picks, even though Jerry loves his picks. So they might not do it. But a team like that who's in position needs a running back, they can use him something like that. Lattimore, he can go to a lot of teams. People be lined up for cornerbacks. You need them in
Yeah.
today's world. One more thing, bro. Tuesday, some bad news. We got Saints defensive end
Mm-hmm.
no passing.
Ain't no
Yo,
passing one.
there we go. Passing what? So it's Achilles. Tuesday, Dennis
Mm-hmm.
Allen said he's done for this season, but he may return in 2024. I don't know if that's January.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or if the Saints have a long playoff run, a Super Bowl, he say he may return 2024. So maybe he's just done for this year.
Yeah.
And if the Saints have a good run, maybe he's able to come
Come
back for
back.
the playoffs. But depth piece, good depth at the DM position, good situational player. I think he's always been solid.
Yeah.
But it's just a tough loss, man. Ain't
Mm-hmm.
even get the training camp yet. So it's tough, man. You see a lot of these injuries pop up during training camp, toy ACLs, toy Achilles, and you be like, dang, bro,
Mm-hmm.
already. So just a tough loss, man, for the team. Any thoughts on it, bro?
Yeah, man, you just feel for the players, especially because they kind of work really hard. And I mean, at his position, it's wide open
Mm-hmm.
to make a difference. And so he probably was a guy that was working his ass off in the offseason to have that opportunity to play opposite Cam and make a difference for the team. He's been a solid guy over the years, but we've expected a lot of our edge rushers, and this could have been a season for someone like him to
Mm-hmm.
maybe have a good season and get paid like Carl Granderson did. So just wishing him the best recovery. It definitely hurts the depth. I don't think we had a ton of depth to begin with. When you think of, I mean, passing wise hurt, um,
Chase
Chase
Young,
coming off an injury, right?
Cam older.
Foskey's coming off an injury, and Cam's older. So you
Got
already
Peyton Turner coming off an injury too.
and Peyton Turner. So what? That's five out of your six.
That's like our whole
DN.
defensive ends, except for Carl Granderson.
Yeah, so it's like, so you were already having a lot of question marks at the position, and things just got a little bit more fuzzy in terms of the future of that position. And look, I'm hoping Chase Young is going to be ready, because I don't even think he's going to be in training camp. So he's missing a lot of valuable time. So if he's going to be ready, hope Folsky's ready by camp and can contribute this year. Didn't really contribute on the defensive end last year, did a lot on special teams.
Yep.
But he's a pass rush specialist. I hope DA kind of uses him in
Zach
that
Barn
role.
was too.
Yeah, but at least Folsky has your prototype build for a
Mhm.
defensive end that Bond didn't have. And so you're hoping that he gets some run, and you're hoping Carl Granderson, since he's already gotten paid. We talk about paying those young guys early. He can kind of build up on that. And Peyton Turner, who when he does play, is actually a difference maker.
He's good. He's a good player. He's just like Marcus Davenport. Stay injured.
Right. So contract year, maybe he gets it together, has a good season. But like I said, man, when Tano getting hurt, that hurts our depth. But again, at the end of the day, you want to think about the player and the person. And so Achilles aren't the easiest things to come back from. But I trust that, he'll do what he has to do to get right. At this point, I wish he played for another team, because I don't trust the Saints medical staff. So
I think they switched it, right?
They always
switched it a couple years ago, I think.
They always switch it, and it just hasn't worked. But hopefully for him, especially with something that serious, that could be career threatening, I should say, hopefully he gets the right treatment and everything like that, and he can come back, whether it's for us or for somebody else. But you don't want somebody's career and their momentum to end this way via injury. So
I agree. One thing I wanted to say, you mentioned opposite of Cam.
Yeah,
it needs to be opposite of Carl. Because Cam should not be starting on this team at defensive end this year. We are not playing by names no more. We are playing by production. I love Cam. Get in the inside, Cam. Eat you a couple more burgers and get in the inside, please. For the sake of our young guys, we need Chase and Carl on the edge. Peyton Turner, maybe he can beat one of them out for the spot. But Carl, he earned this spot. Now, maybe he got an early again this year, but hey, I love you, Cam. Come on the pod. I'll be at the game if I root for you. Hopefully, you have a bounce back here. Prove me wrong if you go play defensive end. Prove to me you can finish plays and you got a little spark off the edge. Make it like a who's my guy? 6'7" defensive end. We was interested in him last year, but he went somewhere else. I think he went to the Jaguars.
You talking about Calais Campbell?
There we go.
Who's a free agent, by the way? I just want to point that out.
He's still a free agent?
He's still a free agent, by the way.
Yes. Be Calais Campbell. Come on, get back to the SWATs. Get back to that. Oh man, this we made history today, y'all. Our first show that wasn't 45 minutes. If y'all been with us since the first show. Every show been 45 minutes. We was about to change the name to the 45-minute guys. But we finally beat it. We hit our first hour, bro. If y'all been with us since the first episode, y'all gonna keep making history. As we make history, y'all gonna make it with us. But we're gonna get into more things, y'all. We still gotta have our drop for our Saints segments. We've been doing this hometown segments, but we haven't given y'all the name of what they're gonna be called, because blame it on me, y'all. I ain't got the video drop yet. because I want the video drop when we introduce it to come on dramatic. But good show, man. Any last words for the people, Trey, bro?
Man, look, like my boy Tay said, man, y'all making history with us. So as we grow, y'all growing with us. So appreciate the support. Keep tuning in. Keep letting us know what y'all want to hear. It's a big league. It's a big world of sports. So whatever y'all want us to cover, man, let us know. Look, we love talking. We can talk for hours. So only keeping it to 45 minutes the other few shows was a blessing. It was a miracle because we can do this all day. But man, really enjoying this run. Having a good time, and guess what? Things are really about to heat up, and I ain't just talking about the Louisiana weather. So get ready.
Yeah, it's a thunder where I'm at right now, bro. But I've been feeling the heat. But Bayou Ballers podcast, y'all. Like we said, we could talk for hours, but we have wives, and y'all know about wives. They need time. But we'll see y'all next time. We've been putting this content out for y'all. Hope y'all keep liking. I seen y'all like our Saints content, so we're gonna give y'all more of that. And also, as free agency NBA finals heat up, we're gonna keep giving y'all content. But love y'all. Like, comment, and subscribe for us. Please do that so we can get in the algorithm. More people can see the show. But we out.
So.